up until the highways, the interstate highway system and the improvement of like Route 9, Route 2, those highways. You're driving along there and you'll see a lot of barns that are abandoned, not used anymore. They're actually potato barns. Connecticut was potatoes and tobacco up until the late 50s, early 60s. So we used to pick the potato crops in Maine, first 2 weeks of September, first 3 weeks sometimes, then come down here, pick the last of September and the whole month of October in Connecticut. And those people just stayed.
Jim Rouse describes his ancestry as a mixture of Micmac, Abenaki, and Irish. His family migrated from Canada to Maine and ultimately to Naugatuck, Connecticut. They were representative of the largest group of Indians to migrate to Connecticut.
Abenaki, Micmac, Penobscot, Passamaquoddy, the ones they refer to as the Maritime Province Indians, mostly the Maine Indians, Maine, Massachusetts.
Like other ethnic groups who came to Connecticut, the Maritime Province Indians came to work.
A lot of them came down to pick tobacco, so you'll find major Indian populations in New Britain, Bristol. Bristol probably has 150 Indians. Yet Bristol is one of those cities that's not on the way to anywhere. It's out in the middle of nowhere. You've got to go to Bristol to go to Bristol.
While the Raux family and others like them followed the crops, they were not really migrant workers.
Not a migrant life, but you pick the apple crops and you pick the potato crops. You still had your home, a permanent home. I mean, it's not like you were moving around in a trailer or anything. More often than not, you came down here and you just lived maybe in a potato barn or stuff in the back of the station wagon. Somebody would offer him a job. And you discover that in the real world down here that the money was a whole lot better than up there.
Like many other immigrant groups, Indian migrants depended for economic survival on hard work by all members of the family.
You pick potatoes as a family. You don't pick potatoes as an individual. The man didn't leave the wife and kids home. If you had 7 kids, the man, the wife, 7 kids came down. They all hit the potato fields at 5 o'clock in the morning and picked till dark. 12, sometimes 16 hours a day. In 1950, you were getting paid 25 cents a barrel. And if you had a man, a woman, and 2 kids, you could pick 350 barrels in a day. You made a lot of money. In those days. Of course, the season between Maine and Massachusetts and then into Connecticut would only last about 6 weeks. But that would hold you through the winter usually. You know, we're talking days when the minimum wage was 50 cents an hour. And you could do a lot better than that. I used to pick 100 barrels a day when I was 12 years old. That means I made $25 a day when other people were making $4 a day.
There was at least one significant difference between most Native Americans and other migrants to Connecticut, however.
An Indian from Maine, Massachusetts, somebody who's from out in the country, farm country or reservation country, it's pretty hard to get them to take an inside job. The walls feel really confining. You know, you're talking people who spend the better part of their life outdoors. They're not even today, they're not 6 to 8 hours in front of a boob tube like most young kids are. They're outside. And factory jobs just go against your grain.
While the largest group of Native American migrants come from the maritime tribes of eastern Canada, others come from the south, the Great Plains, and as far away as Alaska. Like other farm workers, many Indians were hard hit by the decline of potatoes, tobacco, and other Connecticut crops. Many found work in construction. Indians today work in occupations of all kinds, but like others who once worked on Connecticut farms, and like other people of color, many remain at the bottom of the state's economic ladder. Indians in Connecticut have a strong social infrastructure which includes service groups like American Indians for Development, an Indian newspaper called the Eagle Wing Press, edited by Jim Rouse, and several annual powwows, gatherings where Native Americans and their guests share Indian crafts, food, lore, dance, and music. These activities unite both indigenous Connecticut Indians and Native American migrants. A recent Connecticut powwow, Jim Rouse told me, had participants from more than 50 tribes.